Good to go.
Okay, great, awesome. So a chart summary is basically, it should only be a 2 to 3 sentence summary of what the chart says. And so it's just 2 to 3 sentences that just summarizes what the chart is saying. Now for some books you say, well, that makes no sense. Why do I have to go summarize? Well, it gives you a chance. You've gone in detail, you've looked in detail, you've kind of looked closer and closer, and now this is a chance for you to go big picture before you move on to the next chart. Now in Philemon, it's only a 1 chart book, so not such a big deal. But let's say you are in one of the prophets and you've really been digging deep into this, and you've gotten caught up in the oracles and what they'll mean to the original reader and all of this. It gives you a chance to go big picture so that you don't go crazy in the oracles before you move on to the next chart. So for Ephesians, you'll have roughly 6 or 7 or 8 charts. So you do the chart summary before you move on to the next chart. That's actually something that I want to take a second and talk about. For all of your work on each of your books, like again, Philemon's a 1 chart book, so it's not a big deal. You complete 1 vertical chart before you move on to the next vertical chart. Don't go through and do all the inside observations for all the vertical charts of a book and then go and do all the outside observations. No, you finish 1 vertical chart and then you move on to the next vertical chart. The reason being is that you have to understand what's going on in that particular vertical chart or segment. Remember, they're both the same thing. Segment before you move on, because you have decided according to your structure that that segment should be done together. It's all topics that belong together, and that's why you're looking at them and you're doing them in depth, and then you move on to the next segment, the next vertical chart, and then those are all things that go together, and then you move on to the next. So that way you complete one before you move on to the other. Some people have said, oh no, you can go faster if you do all your inside observations and then you go through all your outside observations. It isn't. That is not a true statement. You end up having to reread the text because you've forgotten what's going on in that vertical chart. Okay? So, and that's up to you and God, because we can't check you on all that, but we trust that you are all wonderful Christians that will do it the right way. Okay, so for your segment summary, it should be 2 to 3 sentences that just summarize what the big picture of the vertical chart is, and that's the last thing you do before you move on to the next vertical chart. Okay, any questions on segment summaries or chart summaries, whichever you want to call them?